So let's talk some soccer, shall we? Uh, Quickly running through my notes here. I don't know if you saw this, Max, but Czech Republic with an early goal of the tournament nominee against Scotland. Unfortunately, cool to see all of our clansmen in the stands wearing their kilts, drinking beer, having a great time. But Czech Republic, quick turnover around midfield, and the guy just launches a perfectly placed bomb from just across the midfield line. The keeper, who was out of his net, as you're supposed to as a keeper, when your team has a ball and is across half, you come out so that is, if there is a ball played through, you can be the last line of clearance. But he's off his line, and the ball goes perfectly over him running back and falls into the net. And Czech Republic ends up taking that game, but it was a great goal, and definitely one that, unless we get something truly spectacular in the coming weeks, that might be the number one goal of the tournament. Our first, the tournament has lacked upsets so far. We've been close a couple times ish, but for the most part, the heavyweights have established themselves. I guess the most upset worthy result so far of the tournament is that Sweden was able to play Spain to a draw, but even then, that is not unheard of in football to have ties, especially in such a low scoring event game. But that's a big result for Sweden as they look to advance into the round of 16. And if you can at least get a point out of one of the top teams in the tournament, then you got to feel good about that. I'll move on to some of the heavyweights who were able to establish dominance. The first of which is Portugal, who was scoreless the entire game. And there was some worries that they were reverting into pre-2016 Euro Portugal, where they just were unable to deliver time after time. And Hungary, late in the game, had a goal that was called back on offside, clearly offside. But it was definitely time where Portuguese fans were holding their breath, and then they broke through. The last 10 minutes of the game, Portugal scores 3 times. Ronaldo with a penalty, and he had a very, very nice finish for his second goal of the match, and he becomes the all-time leader in goals in the Euro Cup finals, which is what they call the tournament. And he is, as much whatever you think about him, he does the most important thing in soccer, and that's score goals. So you got to give it up to him. He's still 80 goals away from even reaching Christine Sinclair atop the leaderboard of all time international goals scored. So got to put some respect on our Canadian hero's name there. The biggest match of the first round of games in the group stage was between Germany and France. And these two were pretty tightly contested. And the separator of this game was an own goal early in the match by Germany's Matt Hummels. Tried to clear it off his out of his box on a cross and just punted it straight in the top corner of his net. It was really unfortunate. It's not as egregious as we saw from the Haitian goaltender this week, with one of the worst own goals you may ever see in Canada's second win over Haiti, allowing them to qualify. But I'll get to that. But Hummel still an unfortunate own goal. Germany can't find any offense. France actually had 2 more goals that were drawn back from offside, and they look very menacing as an attacking team. Of course, when you've got the 2-headed monster of Mbappe and Benzema up front, it's kind of a mixture of pure power and then speed and finesse on either side there. And then Griezmann as well had a wonderful match for France. And so that's a big result for them to get 3 points in the group of death, sets them off on the right foot. And now if you're Germany, you need to win against Portugal primarily. And then like it is absolute must win against Hungary in order to keep pace in the group. We'll talk Italy, who I think has made their biggest statement of the tournament so far. Both games that they've played so far, Turkey and Switzerland, 3-0 wins. And they hadn't scored 3 goals ever in the Euro Cup finals before this tournament. So two really big results for them, and showing it's a younger squad, but they're showing the world that they've come to win, and it's always a great time if your team is heating up on the biggest stage. And obviously Turkey and Switzerland, not the strongest of opponents, but they're definitely not pushovers. And so great results for Italy there to kick off their tournament. And then I guess the last game I wanted to talk about was today's game, Belgium uh, coming back and picking up the win. It was a tight one, and they completely fell asleep. Denmark scores in the second minute of the game off a turnover really early, and Belgium was lifeless in that first half. And then Kevin De Bruyne, who suffered a face fracture in the Champions League final, comes in at halftime as a super sub, and he sets up the game tying goal and then scores the game winning goal. And that secures Belgium's spot already in the group of 16. Now they just want to make sure that they're that number one seed in their group heading into the knockout stage. But that's a really, really big win for Belgium. And Kevin De Bruyne showing that he is at the top of his game after coming off a pretty nasty injury. Obviously doesn't hurt his conditioning, but it's never nice to have a fracture in the facial area. It makes it tough to see, breathe, whatever you want to do. It's unpleasant. So that's kind of a quick wrap up on the Euro. But now I wanted to talk about